Okay, pag-usapan natin kung paano natin hahanapin yung limit gamit yung table of values. Our topic is about finding limit using table of values. So let's say, for example, we have the limit of x squared minus 2x over 2x minus 4. So this is your rational function as x approaches 2. So alam natin na pag-aralan natin yung unang technique on how to solve for limit, and that is by direct substitution. So let's use direct substitution. Ano nga bang mangyayari sa rational function natin? So here, by substitution, x becomes positive 2. Okay? So lahat ng x magiging 2. So we have 2 squared minus 2 times 2 over 2 times 2 minus 4. So then evaluate, 2 squared is 4, negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, 2 times 2 minus 4, so we get 0 over 0. And we all know that 0 divided by 0 is indeterminate, meaning meron siyang value but we don't know the exact value for this. Okay? So tingnan natin yung limit ng ating rational function. Kasi by direct substitution, we get 0 over 0, and that is indeterminate. Paano naman pag gumamit tayo ng table of values? So yung table of values is a very helpful way to solve for limits of rational functions, lalo na kung gagamit tayo ng direct substitution, we get 0 divided by 0, or that is indeterminate. Example. Let's say, for example, we will solve for the limit of x squared minus 2x over 2x minus 4 as x approaches 2. So this is the same example kanina. Okay? Kung saan, by direct substitution, we get 0 divided by 0, or that is indeterminate. Okay, so here, we have your table of values. In here, we set different values for your x. So dito, kayo na bahala mag-isip ng mga values for your x as long as we are approaching to the value of 2. Kasi ito yung titingnan natin, ano nga ba yung limit ng ating function wherein x is equal to 2. So we have here your 1.9, 1.99, 1.999. Again, set values po ito. Okay? So bahala ka na mag-isip kung ano yung mga values mo as long as papalapit tayo sa ating c, which is 2. Ito naman, after ng 2, we have 2.001, 2.01, 2.1. Okay, papalayo na tayo. Again, this set of values of x are all approaching to your x equals 2. Okay, kasi ito yung limit na titingnan natin. So by substitution, if x is equal to 1.9, we get 0.950. Gamit yung calculator. So lahat ng x magiging 1.9 in our rational function. If x is 1.99, we get 0.995. If x is 1.999, we get 0.999. So kung mapapansin natin na habang papalapit tayo sa value of your x, which is 2, yung nangyayari naman sa f of x is also approaching to something. Okay? So, alamin natin kung saan patungo talaga yung f of x if x is equal to 2. So, we will set this as a known. Dako naman tayo sa 2.0, 2.01, and 2.1. If x is 2.001, our f of x is 1.005. If x is 2.01, we get 1.0050. If we get 2.1 as our x, we get 1.0500. So kung mapapansin natin, from your 2, palayo na, okay, sa values of your f of x, medyo pataas na rin. Okay? So kung i-observe natin, yung mga values ng x na papunta sa 2, or these are x approaches 2 from the left, okay? Yung f of x natin, papunta sa value of 1, right? Yung mga values of x naman natin, which is from the right of your x is equal to 2, okay, yung mga values naman, from 1.05 to 1.005 to 1.005, papunta sa 2, we are also approaching to a certain value, which in this case, the 1. Thus, the limit of the function is equal to 1 as x approaches 2. So that is the use of table of values. So these are the procedures kung paano natin gamitin yung table of values. So first one, okay, so gamit yung table of values, mag-set lang po kayo ng mga values nyo sa x, then by substitution, lahat ng x na nasa function, palitan nyo lang, okay, to solve for your f of x. After finding the value of your f of x, examine what happens as x approaches from the left, then examine what happens as x approaches from the right. Then, tingnan natin kung magkakapareho nga ba yung patutunguhan ng mga f of x natin when our x approaches from the left and x approaches from the right. Kung isa lang, then our limit is defined. Okay? So, if the function seems to approach the same value from both directions, then that is the estimate of the limit value. Another example. Let's say, for example, limit of x plus 4 as x approaches negative 3. This function is an example of linear function. Okay? So, kung gamit tayo ng substitution, we can get a certain value for this. And that is negative 3 plus 4, or that is 1. Again, by direct substitution, yung sagot dito sa limit ng function as x approaches negative 3 is positive 1. Tingnan natin kung tama gamit yung table of values. So here I set values of x, which are negative 3.1, negative 3.01, negative 3.001, papunta sa hinahanap nating c, or x is equal to c. That is negative 3. Okay? Then from the right of negative 3 naman, we have negative 2.99, negative 2.99, and we have negative 2.9. By substitution, if x is equal to negative 3.1, the f of x is equal to 0.9001. Okay? You can use your calculator to check your f of x. If x is equal to negative 3.01 naman, our f of x becomes 0.990. If x is negative 3.001, f of x is 0.999. At ito naman yung titingnan nating limit. Okay, using table of values. Tingnan natin kung merong patutunguhan or iisang patutunguhan both directions yung ating function, okay, using table of values. Dako tayo sa x is equal to negative 2.99. F of x is 1.001. If negative 2.99 the value of your x, your f of x is 1.010. If x is 0.29, your f of x is 1.100. So, ano yung napapansin natin dito? Okay? As x approaches negative 3 from the left, okay, the value of f of x approaches to 1. Okay? Papalapit siya sa 1. From 0.9, naging 0.99, naging 0.999. That means that we are approaching to positive 1. Tingnan naman natin yung values ng mga f of x as our x here approaches negative 3 from the right naman. Okay? So from 1.1, naging 1.01, naging 1.001, and we are also approaching to a certain value of f of x if x is equal to negative 3, and that is 1. Thus, the limit of the function as x approaches negative 3 is equal to 1. Another example. So for example, we have your rational function. Limit of x squared minus 9 over x minus 5 as x approaches positive 5. So alam natin, by direct substitution, denominators become 0. Okay? But numerator has a value. That is 25 minus 9, or that is 16. Okay? And 16 divided by 0 is undefined. So, kung undefined yung magiging limit ng functions using direct substitution, the limit is unbounded. Ibig sabihin, meron dalawang limit. Isang limit na nasa left hand, isang limit naman na nasa right hand ng function. It is unbounded if the limit of your function using direct substitution becomes undefined. Tingnan natin gamit yung table of values. So I set values of x here. We have 4.9, 4.99, 4.999 papunta sa value ng c natin which is 5. Okay? And from 5, we have 5.001, 5.01, and 5.1. So dito naman yung mga values ng x as approaches x rather approaches 5 from the right. Okay? So direct substitution tayo. Kung yung x natin is 4.9, gamit yung calculator, the value of your function becomes negative 150.1. If x is 4.99, f of x becomes negative 1,590.01, so on. Okay? Ito yung titingnan natin. For the 5.01, sorry, we have 16,010.001, so on, and so forth. So let's analyze the values of your f of x. Okay? As x approaches 5, from the left muna tayo. Etong nasa taas. So from negative 150, naging negative 1,590, naging negative 15,990. So ibig sabihin yung values ng f of x natin is approaching to what? To a negative infinity. Okay? So limit ng left-hand function natin is negative infinity. Okay? Paliit ng paliit ng paliit. How about f of x as x approaches 5 from the right naman tayo? So from 170, naging 1,610, naging 16,010. So ano yung napapansin natin? Yung values ng f of x habang papalapit tayo sa 5 becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. That means f of x is approaching to positive infinity naman. Okay? So we can say that the limit is unbounded. Okay? So does not exist. Walang limit. Okay? Right hand limit is different from the left hand limit. Another example. We have the limit of x squared minus 7x minus 8 all over 1 half x minus 4 as x approaches to 8. Okay? So kung by substitution tayo, yung denominator becomes 0 then. Okay? How about numerator? So this is 64. 64 minus 56 is 8 minus 8. So this is indeterminate. Okay? Kung indeterminate, meron tayong limit. Limit is defined. Let's see using table of values. So I set the values of x. Okay? Therefore, f of x, we have 17.8, so on, and so forth. So ano napapansin natin dito? Okay, so the value of your f of x is approaching to a certain number. As x approaches 8 from the left, okay, so ano yung sagot dito? This is approaching to 18, right? How about as x approaches 8 from the right naman? So from 18.2, naging 18.02, naging 18.002. So palapit ng palapit sa 8. Okay, so the value approaches to 18. Thus, the limit of the function is equal to 18. Another example. Limit of x minus 2 all over x squared minus 4 as x approaches 2. So by direct substitution, yung numerator becomes 0 and denominator becomes 0, 2. So the answer here is indeterminate. So meron tayong limit. Limit does exist. So using table of values, malalaman natin na merong values talaga for f of x as your x approaches to your 2 from left and from right. Okay? So dito, from left tayo, 0.2564, naging 0.2506, naging 0.2501, and it is approaching to 0.25. Okay? That is the estimate value for your f of x as x equals 2. How about, okay, the value of your f of x as your x approaches 2 from the right naman? From 0.2439, naging 0.2494, naging 0.2499, and it is approaching to 0.25. Thus, the limit of the function as x approaches 2 is 0.25. Final quote, the only way to learn mathematics is to do mathematics. See you.